Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, messing up the beginning of the show. Hey, it's a Thursday here, right? And for the next 30 minutes, I'll get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Market watch, stocks we're paying attention to. We have a big one that just popped up and made a big increase here, literally right before showtime. We'll get into that, all the local and national stories you need to know around the business world. And it's Thursday, right? We've been waiting for the reports to come out. We do get that CPI report today, the Consumer Pricing Index. That is out now. And let's get it started with that Market Watch. And this is what the market's doing today after of course, the CPI report came out. That will be our lead story here coming up as well. There's some runs on a couple stocks that have happened recently as well that is helping this go up. But Dow jumps up to a record level here. August inflation reporting. Well, the reason why the markets are up based off of the CPI that we'll talk about in a minute is because everybody is in basic agreement. The Fed is cutting rates here next week. Period. End of story. The market likes that news, and that's why you see this big growth here today. Dow Jones is up to 619 points, as I said, to that record level for them. 22,020 is what that level. I apologize. 46,104 for the Dow Jones right now. 619 points up. The S&P 500 is up 54 points to 6584. The NASDAQ is the one that's at 22,019, 133 points up today. Even the small cap index, the Russell 2K, 39 points up right now to 2419. Bitcoin is going to go up here, folks, especially if rate cuts happen next week with this reporting, and it's up today as well. Only 546 points up, but up from that 112,000 level it was trading at yesterday, 114,550 for Bitcoin here today. Like I said, this is all based off of, not that the CPI report was good and excellent, it's based off of the rate cut expectation level for next week. Stocks that we are paying attention to right now, before we get to the stocks we're going to look at, heads up here, Warner Brothers Discovery stock. Up huge this afternoon. It wasn't up huge earlier. I have it loaded on my screen. I don't have the graph for you because this just happened, and it's up 27% right now. Warner Brothers Discovery is. This is a late thing that's happened here today, and it's all because the Wall Street Journal reported that Paramount Skydance, well, they're preparing a majority cash bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. Remember, Warner Brothers Discovery, they had recently announced that they had planned to separate its global TV networks business from its streaming and its studio side. It was going to split into the two separate companies. Well, Paramount Skydance, according to the Wall Street Journal, said, don't do that. We'll buy the whole company from you. And that report is out from the Wall Street Journal. And the Paramount Skydance bid is going to be for the entire Warner Brothers Discovery. Of course, nobody from either company is talking about it. But boy, has a stock taken off like this late in the afternoon is an amazing thing to see out there. And as I said, now it's 26.79% up for Warner Brothers Discovery off of that news from the Wall Street Journal. Stocks that we're paying attention to that aren't coming out of nowhere, Open Door Technologies, we're going to look at first. Another big mover today, 65.78% right now. Well, if you don't know what they do, they're that online real estate dealing, right? You call them, they buy your house for cash, etc. Well, they named Shopify executive as its next CEO. The former executive, chief executive, Carrie Wheeler, she resigned last month because the investors were kind of putting pressure on her to leave with the operating. Well, they're obviously happy with the new Shopify executive coming in. Kaz, I'm going to screw this up, and I apologize. Nahashian is probably mispronouncing of their name, coming into Open Door Technology. So it is amazing too, right? It's 65% up today. It's only a $3.85 increase. Stock's still not even at $10. So it's kind of funny to see those numbers. as we look at them. Oracle, let's look at this as a follow up here as well for the Oracle stock. Well, they were up 2.6% earlier today as well. The reason why I looked at them, well, now you can see they're down 5.85% right now. We're just looking at them because remember yesterday they were up over that 36% on the day because of their earnings report and those projections they had, that 1,592% growth projection that they came out as well. At one point yesterday, the head of Oracle, Larry Ellison, was actually the richest man in America at one point. Well, it's come back a little bit since then. But before this 5.86%, earlier when Oracle was at 2.6%, it had a $922 billion market cap for this company. So we're seeing some sell-off happen after those huge numbers yesterday. And we'll do another follow-up as well here with Chewy. We talked about them yesterday. 16% down yesterday for Chewy. Well, it's up 2.96% right now here today. Chewy, if you remember, had that steep year-over-year drop in earnings. Huge drop in earnings. Shocking drop in earnings. Yesterday, we talked about that. But Deutsche Bank out there did upgrade the stock here earlier today. The bank said that the company, Chewy, continues to drive meaningful industry share gains, and they see an acceleration in revenue growth coming up in 2026. So Deutsche Bank has not given up on Chewy here after their quarterly reporting and their downhill on their stock yesterday as well. So big movements here on the stock market with all the news going on. And part of the reason for the stock market gains today, well, it's that consumer price index that came out earlier today. It posted a seasonally adjusted 0.4% increase for the month. That's the biggest gain since January of this year. So the annual inflation rate, it's at 2.9%. Basically, it's up 0.2 percentage point from last month. It's the highest reading since January as well. Our number was getting closer to 2 earlier this year. Now it's getting back up to that 3% level as well. Economists that were, were looking for the average here, they were looking for a reading of 0.3%. On the monthly one, and then also a 2.9% for the year levels is what they were looking for. So the core reading here that excludes food and energy, because those are the most volatile, the August gain was 0.3%. So the 12-month figure on that is 3.1% for the core, and they were forecasting both of those levels there as well. Fed officials consider core to be a better gauge of long-run trends. The central bank's inflation target, as you remember, is 2%. So we've ticked back up to 3% here over the last couple months as well. If you want to look at the employment side of things that the Fed pays close attention to as well, the Labor Department reported an increase in weekly unemployment compensation filings. So it's a seasonally adjusted 263,000 for the week ending September 6th. This was a surprise number to come in. The 235,000 was the estimate, and it was up 27% from the previous period's revised figure. The claims level marked the highest in nearly 4 years at the time. We always knew the employment numbers were going to go up with the government layoffs. A lot of them, if you sign that deal, a lot of them are happening August and September here. So we've always expected that side to go up, but that is an important thing that the Fed pays attention to in terms of the rate cuts as well. So we now have all the reporting that is needed and the data that the Federal Reserve uses and analyzes in order to decide their monetary policy strategies. And of course, that meeting is next week, which is why you see the stock market so far up today. Everybody's on board that there's a rate. There's no illusions of a rate hike, going down, easing of the monetary policy. There is no illusion that is not going to happen next week. A quarter point is also the favorite right now. Half a point's kind of creeping in there a little bit coming up. And a half a point would be extraordinary for a Fed that's been very conservative on lowering those rates and being hesitant to do so up until this point. So now, Trump has always talked about getting manufacturers of prescriptions, medicines back here to the United States. Big story here, and kind of a win if you're into this. If you're into this conversation, and the United States is going to increase its manufacturing of amoxicillin. That's a very, very highly used prescription antibiotic. It recently faced a national shortage as well. Well, because Walmart and medical supply and distribution company McKesson, well, they've inked a deal with the nation's lone manufacturer of that specific drug. That company is called U.S. Antibiotics. It's located over in Bristol, Tennessee, and they expect to produce enough amoxicillin products to meet 100% of the nation's demand for these essential medications under this deal. Walmart pharmacies, excuse me here, folks. Oh, the Walmart pharmacies specifically will offer the U.S. made amoxicillin. McKesson will actually provide the antibiotic through the massive national distribution services to everybody else out there. So manufacturing happening here, ramping up as well for that drug, and that is happening now in terms of that promise there or that want there by the president and his administration. And we'll stay on the drug side of things here. Novo Nordisk, they make those drugs, Ozempic, Wegovy, right? Those GLP-1 drugs, weight loss, diabetes ones. They said they're going to cut thousands of global jobs. Well, because they want to simplify their operations and relocate resources toward its diabetes and obesity drugs because their rivals are taking a huge bite, a huge chunk out of their market share. The company announced this all yesterday, and it intends to reduce the global workforce by approximately 9,000 people. They have 78,400 positions right now in the company. 5,000 cuts are expected in its home country of Denmark, just by itself. The company is putting more money and effort into how it sells its diabetes and obesity products. And they're developing new medicines, of course, to target those conditions. They're trying to get that pill form. So some cost cutting going on here in that side of the pharmaceutical business. And another thing the Trump administration is trying to do, right? We talked about it the other day where Trump was putting pressure on the EU to raise the tariffs on India and China for buying Russian oil for cars and things like that. Well, Mexico might be placating the American president just a little bit because Mexico came out yesterday and said they're going to raise tariffs on automobiles from China and other Asian countries. They're raising it up to 50%. So big, huge, broad overhaul of import levies that Mexico's government said would protect jobs. And analysts flat out said this, that it's placating, of course, President Trump out here. The economy ministry said the moves, which will increase those tariffs to varying degrees on goods across multiple sectors, not just automotives, but textiles, steel, and automotive. Well, they said that's going to impact $52 billion of imports for Mexico. So they said the measure, which would come within limits imposed by the World Trade Organization, they were intended to protect jobs in Mexico because Chinese cars were entering the Mexico market, quote, below what we call reference prices, unquote. What China does with their automotives and anything they put into a market, they bring them in at ultra low prices. Those companies get protected by the Chinese government, and they just, you can't compete. Your companies can't compete against those numbers and things like that. So, well, Mexico is standing on that front. They're trying to keep them out. Obviously, China had a response, right? They really opposed, no shocker, to being coerced by others and restrictions imposed by various pretexts is what they called it. And their foreign minister came out and said all of that earlier today. He added that the Asian nation of China and the ones surrounding it that also is involved in this, they hope that Mexico will instead work with it, meaning China, towards global economic recovery and trade development as opposed to the tariff side. This is being viewed around the world, especially by critics, but other people, that it's just being done to get better trade terms here with the United States. But that pressure that President Trump and his administration is putting on these countries, at least Mexico's kind of falling in line with that. And next time you're in Vegas, you might have a different experience getting around town. Amazon Zoox. Well, they came out yesterday and launched its robo taxi service in Las Vegas. They're offering free rides through parts of the entertainment mecca, meaning the strip, basically, for anyone willing to gamble on the salary of a driverless, on the safety of a driverless vehicle that operates without a steering wheel, no less, folks. You see it on your screen there if you're watching us. So this isn't like Waymo, where there's at least still a steering wheel. Zero steering wheel vehicle here coming up. Makes it another weird level we graduate to. The Las Vegas debut of the Zoox long-planned ride-hailing service, well, it reflects Amazon's own robotaxi maker's confidence, all connected, with the safety of the boxy vehicles, 2 years testing them throughout Las Vegas. They initially were only available to employees in Las Vegas before gradually expanding to friends, family members of those employees. So now they're opening it up. If you have the Zoox app, you'll be able to request a ride to 5 designated locations. So it's very limited, right? Resorts World, the Luxor Hotel, the New York Hotel are the 3 big ones there as well. The longest distance the Zoox robotaxis will travel is about 3 miles as far as they would go. They can carry up to 4 passengers at that time. The nice thing about this, if you're up there and you want to try it, all rides will be provided for free for at least the first few months because they want to promote its existence of the service as well, and they want people to try it out at that point. Once it does begin charging for rides in Las Vegas, they say its prices will be comparable to the traditional taxis, and of course, ride-sharing services, Uber and Lyft. They'll say the prices will be close to those levels, and no steering wheel on them is going to be the big talk of it there. And the long lamented, that books are dead theory out there, well, you might have to put that to rest as well. I might have to close the book on that. I missed the obvious joke there off the top of my head. Missed the obvious joke. Books Inc., which, by the way, is a 174-year-old bookstore chain up there up in the Bay Area. Well, they've been in bankruptcy for a while, and since January, and they're seeking a bankruptcy court approval to be bought by Barnes and Noble. $3.25 million is what the amount is there in bankruptcy courting as well. So the Noble continuing to expand its presence around there. We'll talk about that in a minute. Barnes and Noble did confirm that Books Inc. will continue to operate 9 locations if the acquisition is approved this fall as well. So they're not going to shut them down. They're going to keep them out there. It's the oldest independent bookstore chain in the Bay Area and in most of the country at that 174-year-old age. So this acquisition, well, it adds to Barnes & Noble's expansion strategy that they've had over the last several years. Back in 2024, Barnes & Noble bought Tattered Cover Bookstore, which is based out of Denver. They also they were in bankruptcy protection as well when they bought them. Barnes & Noble, well, they're also expanding their physical footprint. Back in April of this year, they announced they're going to be opening 60 new stores here just this year, because they were having a period of strong sales in their existing stores. The Barnes & Noble still going strong, and I go in there a lot out there at the, the mall out there in the East Valley that I just forgot the name of. And, it's always busy in there. People buying books, people buying the food and drinks in there as well. So books are still a thing out there, folks, even though a lot of bookstores not surviving in that time frame. And another follow-up here for you as well. Well, Boeing, they don't have to worry about a strike too much longer here because that union that represents those striking Boeing defense workers, they said yesterday it reached a tentative agreement with Boeing. Obviously, the final voting still has to happen, and that will come out and happen on Friday. This agreement will be for 5 years. It includes better wages and restores the signing bonus that was looking for, according to the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers Union. Whew, it's a long union name out there. Well, so it's mainly based in St. Louis, Missouri. and it'll basically vote on that tentative agreement Friday morning. Expectations are it'll pass, but we've seen in the past that they have been rejected before, even though everybody says it should pass. Specific details of this new agreement were not immediately available, other than those details I already gave you out there. So these are the workers that assemble and maintain those F-15 fighter jets and missile systems. This is the people striking. It's about 3,000 union members that this affects as well. And they've been striking since August at that time. So the employees had previously turned down a new contract offer. It included a 20% general wage increase and a $5,000 signing bonus. Other things as well. Those were the highlights that they turned down. So we'll have to wait and see how this improves here. And it was the first strike by this group of Boeing workers in almost 30 years for them out there. So Boeing getting out of this strike situation as well, coming forward for them. So positive news for Boeing happening right now. And when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep the show rolling. Yes, we get some local stories and a popular sandwich maker. We have a few of them here. They're huge in the Midwest, being bought out as well. It's who's buying them that kind of caught my eye out there. Plus, a couple local stories. Rare minerals. Well, that mines might be coming here to Arizona as well. We got all that and more. So come on back. It's McCollum on Business. And we're back here at McCollum on Business. Whew, I almost didn't make it through that last segment. My throat was scratchy and everything, but we got through it. Hey, it's a Thursday edition, right? And professionals make it through it is what I've always been told. So I appreciate you guys joining me and dealing with some of my mishaps here today. But, of course, the main event is in the can today. It's up right now, Robat TV On Demand. YouTube, don't forget, all the shows are there as well, free for you out there. And, of course, on the free podcast system, wherever you get your free podcast. Uncle Lou comes in on Thursdays. We talked NFL, UFC this weekend as well. Spirited discussion on Torey Lovello and the Diamondbacks to start that segment at the end of the first hour. Catch up on that. Right now, if you don't catch us live from 8 to 10 a.m. here at Robat TV, of course, this show live at 11 o'clock. Also on demand at Robat TV and the YouTube channel. No podcast for this show, but the pit stop is up right now as well. Monday, do a recap show. Change the format on that show a little bit this week. Monday was a recap show of the weekend's racing. Look ahead show to this weekend's racing was yesterday, both on demand at Robat TV, both up on the YouTube channel, and then it does have a free podcast as well at the Pit Stop Talk on Podbean only right now for that one. Definitely give it a listen and like it if you would. If you're interested in racing stuff out there, catch us on the YouTube page and subscribe to that page as well. And racing gets underway tonight, folks. The Truck Series, race 2 of its first round. 3 races happening tonight. Xfinity Friday night. Cup Series Saturday night, all at Bristol Motor Speedway. So catch up on that now as well. We appreciate you joining us and supporting us here. And with all that, let's get back into that Market Watch. Like I said, the markets are responding to basically the CPI report doing what it did, and meaning everybody thinks that there will be a Fed rate cut. There's no possible way, is how I'm going to phrase it. No possible way the Fed will not cut rates next week is what everybody is in. All the investors are gambling on and betting on, and that's why you see the market doing what it's doing today. Dow Jones up 611 points right now. S&P 500, by the way, to a record as well. The S&P 500 is up to 53 points right now. NASDAQ 154 points up. Russell 2K up 35 points as we are speaking right now. And then Bitcoin, coming down a little bit, but in that 114,000 range here today. 114,265. That was in the 112,000 range yesterday as well. So the market anticipating the rate cut next week. Market's up today. We'll see if that continues tomorrow, of course, as we're late in the trading day here. It's about an hour and a half left in the trading day for the market here today. Stocks we're going to pay attention. Here are some stocks. Well, one you might not have heard of, but two you probably have, right? But Synopsys is the first stock that we're going to look at right now. And they're up 12.70% right now. This is up 12.7% today. Yesterday, they ended up completely after the end of the day, 35% backwards. Down 35% yesterday because their earnings report. They're a semiconductor tool supplier is what they do. They earn $3.39 per share. For them, the estimate was $3.74 per share, so they missed that by a lot. Then their revenue was $1.74 billion. Well, they missed that by a lot, too. The estimate was $1.77 billion in revenue. That's why yesterday, the end of the day, they were 35% down, getting some of that back today at 12.58% for them. Next up, let's go energy drinks, Celsius Holdings. They're up today as well, 4.02%. Goldman Sachs came out. They initiated this stock, and they rated it with a buy rating. Goldman said Celsius posted strong growth and is in a quickly growing category. There's a lot of competition in this space. Goldman has faith in them, up 4.11% as of right now. And then you Fry's Food grocery store fans out there, their parent company Kroger, well, they're up today as well as we look at them, 1.36%. Well, they did report mixed financial results, but still up to 1.36%. Their adjusted earnings came in at $1.04 per share. The expectations were 99 cents per share, so beat that number. The revenue was $33.94 billion. Well, it came in below the $34.10 billion estimate. So mixed results, but Kroger's still up today, 1.39% as of right now for that. And, of course, Fry's is the local grocery store there that Kroger owns. And speaking of food, you guys ever eat at Potbelly? I've never had a sandwich from there. I know we have them in downtown Phoenix, and that's what they do. Well, they're being acquired, and it's who they're being acquired by. First of all, they're being acquired for $566 million. Well, gas station and convenience store chain Racetrack is the one purchasing Potbelly for that $566 million price tag. This Potbelly was founded in Chicago back in the year of Stephen, as I like to call it, 1977. It has 445 restaurants across the U.S. The company said the deal with Racetrack will help it match its quadrupling in size to 2,000 locations. Potbelly stores are both company and franchise owned. So they're going to do what was that? Jimmy John's did that, right? Well, they had a private equity firm by them for funding in order for growth. Sandwich chains, well, they've been struggling in recent years, as we talk about here a lot on this program, right? The pandemic, obviously, it didn't help. People weren't eating out and everything. And then, people are eating at home, not going and dining out, takeovers, and so that allows for these takeovers to happen in terms of the fundings out there. And I'm pretty sure it was Jimmy John's, right? They were sold for $8 billion for that funding with that private equity firm. So takeovers are in this industry and a convenience store, a gas station, buying them there. So maybe we'll see some more potbelly sandwich shops around town than the few we already have. And sports news here, at least in terms of where you can watch sports. Important one here is football season's up. A lot of football, a lot of sports going to the streaming services, and you can't watch those in a lot of bars, for instance. Well, Everpass Media. I apologize, folks. I don't know what is happening with my voice today, but Everpass Media is a company, and they've inked a deal with Disney's ESPN. Why? Well, they're going to distribute live games and other content from its ESPN Plus streaming service, specifically to bars, restaurants, and other commercial establishments in the U.S. So streaming is coming to bars and restaurants as of now. The deal bulks up Everpass's offering of live sports streaming to businesses. They already provide the Sunday ticket package for the NFL, as well as NFL games that are available exclusively on streaming services this season. For instance, last Friday's matchup, that the Chiefs Chargers, that was only on YouTube. They did have rights to that. Live sports, of course, are huge, not just for bars and restaurants to get people in there, but they are supreme over most other content on television. They attract big audiences, both traditional TV and on those streaming platforms, because people want to watch. Everything else can be binge watched after the fact. Sports need to be watched live. But as viewers are continuing to shift towards streaming, professional leagues, they're signing media right deals. That's only some games are only offered on those streaming services, right? Like tonight's Thursday night football package, as an idea. NBA, where their commissioner said they're a highlight league. If you can't afford to watch their games on Amazon, well, tough to you is basically what he said out there. It's a multi-year agreement with ESPN, and it does mark Everpass's biggest edition of live games since it was launched in 2023. They were a joint venture between the NFL and Redbird Capital Partners. It's such a company and growing company. TKO, that's the parent company of UFC, WWE. They became an investor in them last year as well. So we're seeing more of that growth. You might be able to see WWE WrestleMania in a bar coming up, possibly. Throwing that out there. Hey, here in Arizona, an Australian mining company, well, they've uncovered the presence of a rare earth metal here in Arizona, folks, right? Northwest Arizona, basically around the Kingman area. Well, they're launching an exploration effort to learn more about extracting that rare earth metal. This company's name is G50 Corp. They secured a $10 million investment to fund this exploration. The rare earth mineral that they're looking at, gallium. It's at a mine that it currently operates in Mojave County. The site is called Golconda, 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 folks. It's where a historic zinc mine operated in the early 1900s. It was revived by G50 about 5 years ago. G50 Corp now mines zinc, gold, silver at that specific site. And now, if they explore on this gallium and find it there and figure out how to get it out of there and process it, obviously they'll be adding that mineral as well to it. So with this new funding, the $10 million investment, G50 plans to initiate a drilling phase over the next 7 months. That will help it to determine exactly how to extract the material out of the ground. Those findings will help inform future funding efforts as well, like how much more do we need, how easy is it to get out, etc. Gallium has traditionally been used, as you all know, right? It's been used as a defense products like radar technology. It's got broader applications today, though, obviously, like a lot of these rare earth materials do. Semiconductor production, energy-related uses that include the operation of data centers is where gallium is used as well. So G50 is aiming to produce gallium from the site by 2030. The timeline is aggressive, though, and it's given typically complicated permitting and entitlement processes in the U.S. for expanded mining operations. We do know that President Trump is kind of relinquishing these and speeding up that process, though, in his administration. Demand for this mineral is only expected to grow, well, because China controls virtually all of the world's supply of this specific mineral. And we do know that China has recently restricted exports of it as well, so they can have it for their processes, etc. And like I said, President Trump's administration is, wanting more of this exploration here. So we'll see if there's a delay in the process getting to that up there. But up by Kingman, folks, rare earth mine coming our way, or materials coming our way up there. And last up here, well, Google and SRP, right? The Salt River Project. They're going to start studying through a compact that they announced yesterday. And they're going to study how emerging non lithium ion technologies perform in the real world, because they want to move more quickly to full scale deployment between them. Google will be funding a portion of this pilot project for SRP's grid. They're going to evaluate data on how those projects perform and provide input into research and testing. According to, this is all according to SRP and Google putting this messaging out in a press release. Details on potential projects, well, they haven't released those yet. They just announced the partnership. SRP, they've already issued requests for proposals back in 22 and in 2024 for these types of projects. Google and SRP will together consider whether any of these projects will be part of the research collaboration. This collaboration could advance both Google and SRP's sustainability goals. SRP has pledged to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. APS, remember, backed off of those goals by, I think, 2030 for them. Might have been 2050. Google does say it plans to run its data centers and offices fully on carbon-free energy and to reach net zero emissions across its operations. They've pledged that as well. So they're putting money where they need to in order to get through this process here for both of these companies to find carbon neutral stuff if it's available. What does it cost, etc. But that is teaming up now as well. And folks, we made it through this Thursday edition, and I apologize for my voice and whatever is happening here with my with my throat. But we made it through the show. Friday edition coming up. We'll have to pay attention to that stock market tomorrow, as well as stocks we're paying attention to, because of the thought that the rate cuts are going to happen next week. And of course, next week is that week. We'll find it out. So join me on Friday, live at 11 o'clock, on demand after that at Robat TV, as well as YouTube. We'll get this all uploaded, and folks, we'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy NASCAR tonight. Check out the pit stop racing on the Truck Series tonight. Big NFL game tonight as well. Listen, check out the main event if you missed it this morning. We'll see you all tomorrow, folks.